So Travis Hunter wasn't the only one that made noise on National Signing Day. There was a lot of big-time players putting pen to paper, doing the sleight of hand, grabbing one hat, going to the other, doing the fake hat on the head, and then going to another hat. Like, it's madness. It's beautiful. It's what makes college football so incredible, why you love it, why I love it, and why we were all glued to the ticker yesterday. Best sport in the world. There's not even a close second. Feel pretty comfortable saying that. So to break it all down, the man who was on air yesterday for 3 hours, we were in here chopping it up. He was to my left. I was to his right. Chad Simmons was in the studio as well. Nick Brake was spinning the discs. Had a real good time. Welcome to the program. On3 national recruiting analyst, the GOAT, Josh Newberg. Josh, my man, how we doing? You get any sleep? You get to kind of get a massage and get rested from yesterday, or are we still just running on fumes?
No, this is my third show that I'm taping today. It's a lot of fun. This was my 18th signing day. Believe it or not, my first one was in 2004, attending the signing of Geno Hayes at Madison County High School when he chose Florida State over Tennessee, and it was crazy, let me tell you. So not much has changed in the 18 years that I've been covering high school recruiting, going to college, but yesterday was a very memorable one. My first one at On3. I will always remember that. Had a lot of fun with you.
Man, it was an absolute blast. It was just a luxury for me to sit right next to you and just tee up after tee up. Like I said it yesterday, when LeBron James has the ball at the top of the key, you don't try and set a screen. You just get out of the way. So that's what it felt like yesterday, but tremendous work. We're going to keep that party rolling, as we like to say around here. And you have some superlatives from yesterday's signing day that I think the people would really like to see. You mind walking us through those just a little bit when the dust has kind of settled so far today?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's start with my most underrated player, all right? He signed with the Gators, Eugene Wilson III. Now, maybe I'm a little biased here because I am from the Tampa Bay area, but Eugene Wilson out of Gaither High School, same school that fellow Florida Gator attended, Vernon Hargraves III. Eugene Wilson, though, on the other side of the ball, very explosive wide receiver. I think he has the ability to go in and play early at UF. My biggest surprise on the day would be Dante Moore flipping to UCLA from Oregon. This happened a couple days before signing day, but boy, did we not see this one coming, especially the way Oregon finished. This was ended up being a minor storyline on Wednesday, but Dante Moore flipping from Oregon to UCLA will be something that we watch and monitor over the length of Dante's career. Most intriguing in terms of upside, Nico Amaliava. He's already on campus at Tennessee throwing passes to wideouts during bowl practice. I'm really excited to see what Nico does at Tennessee. Most likely to be a first-round pick. Give me Keon Keeley.
Ooh, nice.
Edge, five-star edge out of the Tampa Bay area, signed with Alabama. Love his measurables, love his size-speed combo, but I mostly enjoy his workman-like mentality. I think that will take him a long way, especially within the Nick Saban program.
I like that. I like the pronunciation, too, on Iamaleava. I mean, you crushed that, brother.
I probably said it 105 times in the last 24 hours, so I've gotten pretty good at that. Most likely to win the Heisman, give me Jackson Arnold. I mean, when it comes to putting up points in bunches, I think that's what Jackson Arnold's going to do. He's going to step on campus, compete for a starting job right away. Expect big things from Arnold at Oklahoma. Freshman impact player. Give me Caleb Downs, the five-star safety, committed to Alabama, does it all. He plays a little bit of special teams, but he's a big hitter. He's a ball hawk. He flies around and just makes impact plays. You love to see that on the defensive side of the ball. Alabama needs help in the secondary. Look for Caleb Downs to play early.
I think Charles Power comp for him is Ed Reed. Anytime you're at the high school level playing safety and your comp is Ed Reed, I mean, that's special. That's special. And his ball skills for what he's going to bring to that secondary, man. I'm excited to watch it unfold, especially under Nick Saban's tutelage. We said it before in this program, like Nick Saban in the secondary, those are his babies, man. Like those are his prodigies in that secondary. Take special pride in what they do. Talking about winners and losers from yesterday. It's unfortunate, but whenever you play the game, someone's got to win, someone's got to lose. Who are some of the big winners? I'll start there for you from signing day yesterday.
Yeah, besides you and I, some of the big winners on signing day. was Alabama and Georgia. I mean, 1 and 2. I know Georgia didn't do anything to make up ground on Alabama. That was really not because Georgia had a bad day. They had a great day, but mainly because Alabama is just recruiting out of their minds. The night before signing day, Nick Saban goes into the state of Iowa, flips Iowa 5-star offensive tackle commitment Caden Proctor. He signs with Alabama on Wednesday. Huge move by the Miami Hurricanes as well. They started the week around the 8 or 9 spot. They're at number 3 right now. Let's talk about some. How could we talk about winners without mentioning Oregon, right? They were the story of the day yesterday. We thought maybe it would be a slow signing day for them with Dante Moore flipping to UCLA just days before, but boy, were they ready for that. Flipping Austin Novosad from Baylor, flipping Peyton Bowen, maybe, from Notre Dame.
We'll see, huh?
I mean, that one's still up in the air a little bit. But look, Oregon's not done. There's still a big target left on the board. 5-star defensive lineman David Hicks, who's committed to the Aggies, is highly considering both Oklahoma and Oregon. He has not signed yet. There's rumors that he might today, but I expect him to sign tomorrow to announce that decision. So Oregon, who started the day at 14, finished the day at 7, still has a little bit of action still left on the board, and we could see them move up. Disappointed. Well, I wouldn't say I'm disappointed to see Tennessee outside the top 10 because of the season, because of the hype, everything that surrounded them. Tennessee didn't have a bad day on signing day. They signed exactly everybody that they expected to. They just didn't have that momentum on NSD itself. They didn't sign anybody extra, but Tennessee didn't lose anybody. Who else? Clemson did not finish inside the top 10. They had a shot at a top 10 class, and Florida hangs on to that 10 spot. They were up to 8. Before the commitment of Samson Okunlola to Miami, they had a shot at a top 5 class if they were able to get him. They kind of fizzled out on signing day. It doesn't look like Desmond Ricks, who's set to make his decision shortly within the next 2 or 3 hours. I do not expect it to be Florida. I think it's either LSU or Alabama there.
There's a lot, man. There's a lot, and you were doing your homework all year long to be ready for this day, and then on signing day, they just threw a bunch of new problems, bunch of new rankings, things into our algorithm system to where we were like, okay, they were at 14. Well, guess what? Oregon's at 6 now. And then Oklahoma's moving all over the board. And Notre Dame's moving and slipping and sliding. I mean, kudos to you to handle the fastball that it was.
We were lucky enough to have Chad Simmons in here with us. And that made the show. I mean, yesterday, mid-sentence, going to Chad for breaking news. You and I don't even know what he's about to break, and he throws it on us. It was something new every time. The 11 o'clock hour, 11 o'clock Central, it was just news, back to back to back, and Chad Simmons handled it all. He is a magician.
No, absolutely. An absolute beast, a machine, best in the business. Yeah, it was great. Like, he would throw his hand up, and you and I are like, we don't know what it is. We haven't seen anything on Twitter. We're not seeing anything in the chat. So that man sitting next to us is the only person who has a feel on what's actually about to happen right now. And we got to hear it all live and in person. I'll give you a couple winners, maybe one winner, one loser.
Sure.
Talking about LSU, for them to have the top 7 class that they did and being able to do so much of it in the state of Louisiana, I really feel like that was a statement for them in Baton Rouge. I mean, all the conversation around, well, is Brian Kelly going to recruit? He hasn't really recruited as much before at Notre Dame. And then for him to have as much resources as he had and to make good on it and to have the product on the field to propel them to that. I mean, I think LSU was a huge winner yesterday. I know Desmond Riggs here is about to make his decision. As of right now, we're live on air, and this is Thursday, December 22nd at right around 2:22 Eastern. So by the time you're watching this, you've probably seen where he's going to school. But even without Desmond Riggs, still a really good class, and to have it be from the boot, that's a sign of good things to come. No, Josh?
Oh, yeah. And you look at the top of their commitment list with offensive tackles Lance Hurd and wide receiver Shelton Sampson Jr., 2 monster players from Louisiana. They did what they had to do to keep it home. The beginning of the season didn't get started the way Brian Kelly had hoped. He righted the ship, and you saw some of these first-year head coaches maybe struggle in their first year, and they weren't able to sustain that recruiting momentum, whereas Brian Kelly was able to right the ship and then explode into signing day. They did a great job finishing it's not finished yet, but sitting right outside the top 5 right now as we speak. I really like what LSU did, especially in the trenches and grabbing some key playmakers. But you said it best. holding down the boot was very important for Brian Kelly in his first year. It sets the tone for what they're about to do in 2024, and it just gets them off to a great start on the recruiting trail.
Hey, man. Seems like the accent doesn't really matter quite as much anymore as some people thought it would, and now with sitting there with the top 10 class, boot seems like it fits just fine on Brian Kelly. Talking about a loser, and let me know what your thoughts are on this. I feel like Florida is coming away from signing day just a little bit with a confused feeling. Like, hey, okay, we're top 10, that's good, but also Texas is ahead of us, Georgia, Alabama's ahead of us, obviously the number 1 spot, LSU's ahead of us. So it's like, yes, a top 10 class for most programs would be really exciting. For Florida, Billy Napier came to Gainesville with all those blue polos around him in the team photo to acquire top talent and to be in that top 5 range. I feel like they're a loser coming back from signing day. Still, obviously, the February period that we're going to, get into when that comes. But Josh, what are your thoughts on the Gators and how they finished yesterday?
Well, it goes back to first-year head coaches, and most first-year head coaches receive a bump. They get that benefit of the doubt. We saw it in Miami. Look at them. They finished number 3. We just spoke about LSU. Oregon had a great class, and you wanted to see more out of Florida. It's not that it's a bad class. You got Jane Rashada, maybe your future franchise quarterback, 5-star out of California, signs with the Gators. But if you look at the class top to bottom, my biggest concern is, did you close the gap on your rivals, and did you close the gap on the teams at the top of the SEC?
Yep.
The answer is no. Not in recruiting. Now, they do have a chance to hit the portal, which is also extremely competitive, and nothing's guaranteed there. But with the hope and the optimism that Billy Napier had all offseason, it seems like it just didn't come to fruition down the stretch for the Gators, and my biggest concern is just the talent gap. Not only did you not close it, but if you look at what Alabama, Georgia, LSU, some of these other SEC programs signed, the gap's getting wider and wider, and it's not going to get any easier for Billy Napier to recruit in year 2.
Man, it's brutal in the SEC, and you're going to have hit a home run on Graham Mertz is what you're hoping and praying right now, to have a better on-field product that you would hope propels a little more off-season juice, because like you said, that benefit of the doubt, the bod is no longer there for Billy Napier. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited to keep an eye on what's going down in Gainesville.
It's not a bad class. I don't want Florida fans to feel that. Secondary, very good. Eugene Wilson is one of my most underrated players in this class. They did pretty good on the offensive line, but just overall, they missed on too many targets down the stretch.
Yeah, unfortunate, but like you said, going to play itself out. We rank these things on signing day based on how they project at the high school level and different measurables. The reality is they could hit the field on Saturday. Maybe they just finally get into a college strength program or have new resources to help them benefit athletically, and then they just skyrocket. So it's how it stands on signing day, but like you said, I think it's a very fair point and a good point to make that for Florida, a top 10 class, I mean, it's kind of first world problems, but still with the gap in the SEC, got to start to close that a little bit more with the future classes. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.